All right, let's get right into it. If you've been lifting for a little while, you definitely know the feeling. Those easy early gains have totally disappeared, and the weight on the bar just isn't budging. Well, today, we're gonna break down exactly how you can shatter that plateau by training smarter, not just harder.
So you're pushing with absolutely everything you've got, but you're getting nowhere, right? It's one of the most frustrating moments in any lifter's journey, for sure. But what if the problem isn't that you're not trying hard enough? What if the real issue is that your body, well, it's changed the rules of the game?
So let's talk about the plateau itself. Hitting a wall like this doesn't mean you're failing, not at all. It actually means you've succeeded. You've officially graduated from the novice stage. The only catch is, the strategies that got you here, they're not going to get you to the next level.
Think back to when you first started. That magical time, right? The novice effect. The program was simple, recovery was lightning fast, and you could add 5 pounds to your squat pretty much every single time you walked into the gym. Your body was so new to all that stress that it adapted at an absolutely incredible rate. But inevitably, that train grinds to a halt. You try to add more weight, but you fail the rep. You feel kind of beaten down, and recovery just takes longer and longer. This right here is the critical moment where so many people get stuck, because they just keep trying to force a strategy that their body has completely outgrown.
And that leads us to your new reality. See, your body is now a much more advanced machine. And because you're stronger, you can generate way more stress in a single workout. And all that massive stress, it requires a whole lot more time to recover and adapt from.
Okay, what's really interesting here is the shift in the time frame. As a novice, your body completes that whole stress, recovery, adaptation cycle in about 48 hours. That's what allows for progress every single workout. But as an intermediate, that cycle now takes a full week. You can't just recover and get stronger between Monday and Wednesday anymore. The week, that is your new unit of progress.
This brings us to a concept that sounds a little scary, but is absolutely essential. It's called functional overreaching. It's basically a state where you intentionally train before you're 100% recovered, letting those stress cycles overlap. Now, this isn't burnout or overtraining. It's a controlled process that gives your now stronger body the stimulus it needs to keep adapting.
And this demands a complete change in your mindset. The goal is no longer to feel 100% fresh and ready to go for every workout. Instead, the real art of intermediate training is learning how to manage fatigue across the entire week, so you can build towards a peak performance on your most important day.
Okay, this is where programming becomes a real craft. It's not about just doing random workouts anymore. It's about having a deliberate weekly plan that's designed specifically to manipulate stress and recovery.
You see, you just can't slam the gas pedal to the floor 3 times a week anymore and expect to get anywhere. This is where thoughtful variation becomes the absolute game changer. It's what separates the lifters who keep getting stronger from the ones who just stagnate, because it's the only way to manage that fatigue and optimize your performance week after week. And we create this variation by pulling 3 main levers. First up is intensity. That's the actual weight on the bar. Second is volume, which is basically how many sets and reps you're doing. And third, you've got frequency, or how often you train a specific lift. Juggling these 3, that's the secret sauce.
Okay, enough theory. Let's look at a concrete example of how to put all this together into a really powerful weekly schedule that's actually going to drive some progress.
We're going to use a framework that was popularized by the legendary coach Bill Starr, and you see it in programs like the Texas Method. It's called the Heavy Light Medium System, and honestly, it's a brilliantly simple way to manage your weekly fatigue.
So here's the logic behind it. You start the week off with a heavy day to create a big stressor. Then midweek, you have a light day to promote active recovery. And finally, you end with a medium day. And this is the key part, where you push the intensity to set a new personal record. Don't worry, we'll explain why it's called medium in just a second.
And this right here illustrates the whole concept perfectly. Just look at the squat. On Monday, it's a high volume day, 5 sets of 5. This creates a huge amount of stress. Wednesday is a light day where you're using about 80% of Monday's weight just to help recovery. Then Friday, that's intensity day. You recovered enough from Monday to push for a new 5-rep max, setting a brand new weekly PR. And that new PR, well, that becomes the basis for next week's volume day. See how that works?
Now here's the critical detail that answers our question from before. When we say heavy day, we don't necessarily mean the heaviest weight on the bar. We mean the day with the highest total workload. The formula is super simple. It's just the weight lifted times the sets times the reps. So Monday's 5 sets of 5 actually adds up to a much higher workload than Friday's single heavy set.
This chart makes it crystal clear. Monday's volume day, that's the biggest stressor of the week, and that's what drives the adaptation. Wednesday's light day is just a small blip on the radar, designed for recovery. And Friday, even though it has the heaviest weight on the bar, has a pretty moderate total workload, which allows you to express your newfound strength. This is intelligent fatigue management in action. It's beautiful.
So, what does all of this really truly mean? It means making a fundamental shift in how you look at your time in the gym.
And this quote from Mark Rippetoe's Practical Programming just perfectly captures the shift. This isn't just some clever phrase, it's an entire philosophy.
Exercise is what you do for the effect it produces today. To get sweaty, to burn some calories, it's often random. But training is a structured, logical process where every single workout is a deliberate step towards a long-term goal. The heavy, light, medium system isn't just a collection of workouts, it's a training plan.
So, what are the crucial points to walk away with? First, your recovery timeline has changed. You got to think in weeks, not days. Second, embrace that idea of functional overreaching. Fatigue is now a tool you have to manage, not some demon you need to avoid. And third, use a heavy, light, medium structure to vary your training stress and drive that weekly progress. So there you have it. You now have the blueprint for intelligent, sustainable progress. The question isn't if you can break your plateau anymore, it's how you'll implement this strategy to really take control of your strength journey. It's time to stop just exercising and start training.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe our channel, which give us motivation to make better content for you. See you in the next video.